Good morning, TIClanta. If you are excited to be here, excited to experience non-stop growth and digital abundance in your practice, give me a heck yeah. All right. You know, I tell you, when you speak at 9 a.m., you just got to make sure everybody's alive and kicking. So thanks for that feedback. I appreciate it. I'm so honored and blessed to be here. Thank you for coming. Thank you for having me. We're going to cover a lot of ground this morning. I'm going to talk about some big picture things, talk about a digital framework that you can apply to your practice and some big picture marketing strategies. But then we're also going to get into the nitty-gritty and talk about specific processes and tactics that you can use to get more people in your care. But before we do that, I wanted to reiterate something that Dr. Danny said yesterday. And I'm not sure if you caught it. But he said, your heart is your greatest marketing tool. And that hit me like a ton of bricks. That made me think, geez, everything that I'm going to talk about can grow your practice or not based upon where your heart is. And I mean that in a real, practical, marketing principles sense. I learned from a longtime internet marketer, Ken MacArthur, about virality, and not 10 million views on a cat YouTube video, though those are great too. But it's when your customers, when people in your audience, when people that are coming into your care bring in their spouse and bring in their children and can't help but to talk to the people that they care about and love, about what you're doing as a healer in their life, if they can't help but to do that because of your heart and the power of the universe that you're wielding, you're going to grow. And that's your heart in action. So thanks for that, Dr. Danny. I think we all need that reminder. And a lot of these things that we're going to talk about aren't new, but we all need reminded of them. And one of them is something that we've all talked about so far, which is your competition. And we like to think of our competition, especially in digital spaces, as the guy down the street. This is AICA Chiropractic, not exactly a tonal practice. And they rank #1 for Atlanta Chiropractor. And who wouldn't want to rank #1 for Atlanta Chiropractor? It gets about 50 searches per month. And of those, since they're the first result, they can expect to get, a good 30 web visitors new each month just from this single keyword. And of the 30 people that show up to their website, heck, they're searching for Atlanta Chiropractor, several people are going to pick up the phone and call and come in for a consultation or straight to a visit and get into their care. All in, we're talking about 1, 2, 3, something like that, new people in their care each and every month just for something as simple as ranking for one term online. So why not? And we have the local Chiro SEO program that has a lot of these pieces to that puzzle. You could take a DIY approach, whatever. But honestly, what I want to talk about is taking a much bigger approach to who your audience is. And this is also just echoing things that Danny and Hugh both mentioned yesterday. Ironically, it's these things. I could tell you as an internet marketer, heck, they're not great for your spine, but they're also not great for your wellness more generally either. People spend hours and hours every day flipping through their cell phones, looking at their Facebook feed, expecting something exciting to happen. I don't know. But they do that, and then they don't eat right. And then they don't feel great, so they do this. This, the world, everyone in our communities are the people that need your care. So don't just focus on the chiropractor down the road that might be ranking for 1 or 2 terms that you aren't, or they have a couple more Facebook followers than you, because there are so many opportunities and so many lives that need your healing touch. But let's talk about marketing strategy. I recommend the inbound methodology. If you Google it, there are 1,000 and million, billion blog posts about the inbound methodology. But it breaks down as this. It's 4 pieces. The attract phase, I love this little thing. I kind of wish there was a cat in the room or something that I could like have it chase around. We're attracting people to your practice. We're turning strangers into visitors. This applies in the real world and in the digital world. And then we need to convert those visitors into leads. And then you talk to Hugh. And then you convert those leads into customers. And then you listen to what Dr. Danny's going to talk about, and then you turn those customers into promoters, into people that are delighted to be in your care. When any one of these things is 0, you don't get any of this over here, right? You need a traffic source. You need some way to build your audience, whether that's doing events, whether that's local SEO, social media, whatever you're doing to develop a group of people that are attracted to your practice, that's attracting them in. You can do this online with blogging, with keyword optimization, with social media. But then we need to get them to convert as well. And so we're going to talk about doing those 2 pieces so that they're ready to rock and roll for your actual sales process, to actually get them to sign on the dotted line to come in for care. And what we're going to do first is we're going to do real company stuff, because you are a real practice that exists in the real world. You're not some e-commerce site that never sees real humans in any given day. You're consistently interacting with people. So who is it that you serve? Too often, you look at chiropractic websites and they say what they do, but they're missing a really, really big piece, which is who they do it for. And what solutions do you bring to problems that people are facing? I guarantee it. If you Google chiropractor plus the town name or the town names that you operate in, you're just going to find that they don't talk about families. They might say they're a family chiropractic, but they don't say why families should come there. They say they might work well with women or business professionals, you name it, children. But they don't say what the problems are, what the challenges are that those audiences face and how to fix them. So here's how to do that. It's a buyer persona. It goes by many other names. We've heard it a couple other variations as well so far this weekend. Come up with the demographic information for that group. How old they are, what gender they are, age, and so on and so forth. And you can do this for multiple different audiences, multiple different personas. It doesn't need to be just one, because goodness knows you deal with a wide variety of people. But figure out that demographic information and then take the next step, which is this thing. It's called the empathy map. And essentially, you're just asking yourself where these people are. What is their motivation? What are the challenges that they face? What do they say and do? What are the sensory things that they experience in any given day? And once you know that, this answers a lot of challenging marketing questions for you. Where should you be investing your time? When should you be doing these marketing activities? If you want to appeal to women and children, you probably shouldn't be on, Hugh and I were talking about LinkedIn to reach business professionals. Great, let's go to LinkedIn to reach business professionals. If you want to reach other demographics, middle-aged women are a huge part of Facebook. That's a big part of that demographic, so that's a great social media channel for that demographic as well. And you see that when you go through this process of the empathy map to determine who these buyer personas are and what makes them tick. I tried to find a more like old school picture or something kind of embarrassing, but there's nothing embarrassing of Dr. Danny online. But again, you do real company stuff. You speak in front of people. Leverage that. Leverage that to the hilt. Take everything that you're doing in the real world and translate it online. And when you do that, you're going to see the same kind of analog real-world successes that you see with your marketing activities in digital spaces as well. I, for one, am having this speech recorded. And that's not just one piece of content here and one piece of content that I'm going to put on YouTube, but I'm going to break up this video into 5, 6, or 7 segments. Go online, Google transcription services. It costs about $1 a minute. Have it all transcribed, and now I have myself a half-dozen blog posts, a half-dozen videos for ostensibly one piece of content. So anytime you go out and speak and get into the community and do those sorts of things, leverage it. Get 10 times the results from the same amount of work. Why not? There's no good reason. Think about your sponsorship activities. Think about your other complementary businesses and practices in your community that you can work with to generate more leads. I'm from Pennsylvania, so I had to throw this up here. I'm a big Flyers fan. Advertising. We can get into advertising in a cost-effective way by doing a couple different things. One is remarketing. I think every practice on the planet should be using remarketing. And all that is if somebody has already interacted with you and your practice, they've been to your website, they've watched your Facebook Live video. Those are people that you can advertise to again so they don't just see you once and drop off the face of the planet. And you can do it for cheap because all of these advertising platforms realize that those are really relevant people to you and your audience, just like you realize that, right? They already know a little bit about something in you and your practice and what you do. So you can then advertise to them for pennies. It's 10 cents. It's 20 cents per click on Google AdWords and the remarketing network. This hotel figured that out. And if I click on that, it's going to cost them a whopping dime. It's going to cost them a quarter for somebody that already knows a little bit about something about you. So these are people that are coming back, people that are starting to engage multiple times with you and your practice. Because goodness knows in our own purchasing behavior, think about the things that we do when we make a buying decision. Sometimes it takes more than just one little contact. It takes 6 contacts. It takes 7 contacts. You're researching things. There's other options. So using something as simple as remarketing is a cost-effective advertising tool for you. Here's one great way to do it on Facebook. And I got to thank Dr. Robert Love for sharing a couple other chiropractors who are doing some great things online with me, who I was able to reach out to over the last couple weeks and say, hey, what are you doing online that's giving you success, that's generating new people, getting them into care? So Dr. Devin Arman, he's unitychirotn.com. He is using the same remarketing strategy with Facebook video. So he's coming up with a video on Facebook. Maybe it's a patient testimonial. Maybe it's just a little bit of explanation about the care he provides to a specific buyer persona. And then he's blasting that out with a big, high audience, large audience Facebook ad of 50,000 people in 10 square miles. Just real big picture. And then he's able to use that same remarketing strategy. Because now 50,000 people have looked at his video. Of that 50,000, boy, maybe a couple thousand people actually watched the entire 5 minutes or the entire 3 minutes or whatever the case may be, do you bet that those people are people that want to hear more from him? Absolutely. Absolutely he does. And he's generating a half dozen new people into his practice every month using that same strategy. So you learn to do this strategy, and then you rinse and repeat. Social media. A little bit of tough love on social media because I think we get a little bit of caught up into it. And it can be a little bit of a pit, but it can also be super duper effective too. Think in your minds how many real, breathing humans have come into your care because of Facebook. Okay. Some of you, it might be a few, and God bless you if you do it. How many people have come in because of your Twitter account? All right. So why in the world do you have a Twitter account? I don't know. But you can generate patients on social media. We talked about an advertising strategy, an advertising tactic that can just do that. On Facebook, I would recommend getting into Facebook groups. Your Facebook page is for your customers, for your people coming in that are getting care. Those are the people that are on your Facebook page, and your family. Thank goodness. But people will join Facebook groups about bigger picture topics, and now you have a platform to reach real prospects, to reach people who don't know anything about you, but you have a platform to communicate with them. So in my hometown, I created the Elizabethtown PA group. There are about 7,500 people in that group of a town of 11,000 when the college students are in. So this is a huge proportion of the greater Elizabethtown area. And I can tell you dozens and dozens of stories of businesses across all kinds of industries who have generated business because of this group, including myself. Because you have a platform to communicate with many people that you didn't before. That's a great way to generate leads and bring people in online on social. Yeah?
What was the name? You created this?
Yeah. Anybody can create a Facebook group. It can be focused in on your community. It could be focused in on wellness more generally. You could work with complementary wellness professionals and say, hey, let's all get in together and say, in my case, Central Pennsylvania Wellness, or Getting Healthy Together, Elizabethtown, whatever it is.
What is the name of this?
Elizabethtown, PA. It's real broad, right? And then that means I'm bringing in this real broad group of people. And tell me someone in that 7,286, I think, people that doesn't need chiropractic care. And they're all going to see it. And depending upon how you interact on Facebook, if you friend a couple of these people, you're double downing on the amount of organic traffic that they're going to see from you and what you post even on your individual page or your practice page, et cetera, et cetera. Make sense? Ready to buckle up, rock and roll, move on to the next one? Outstanding. All right. We wince at the white coat. We wince at the white coat, but ignore that. Try to get past that. And then we'll talk about the other problems with this website. Because this is your typical chiropractor website. White coat aside here for this audience. This is one of the higher ranking chiropractors in Atlanta for Atlanta Chiropractor. And I think about what kind of conversion that they get off of a page like this. This is the second piece of the puzzle. We talked about a couple different ways that you can generate traffic to some of your digital channels. Let's figure out how we can get a little bit more of those people to show up. And chances are all of the other chiropractors in your community have websites that look like this. And there's a couple really simple things that they're not doing right. One is, where's their phone number? It's right there in the bottom. Actually, this is for Philadelphia chiropractors, but excuse me. It's right there in the bottom. What's the number one thing you want someone to do that visits your website? Oh. Yes. So for all that's holy, put it front and center. Put it up in the header. Make it blink. Make it neon. Make it 2,000 point font. Whatever you got to do to get people to click on that and click to call or pick up their phone and actually dial it in. You shouldn't be hiding your phone number. Yeah?
Do you suggest a lot where you can actually click on the link to calls?
That's awesome, especially for mobile. And if you're really going to get down and dirty with advertising, call-only ads are great. Just bypass your website, right? They don't need your website. If they're searching for town name chiropractor, they need a chiropractor. So they don't need to read all that stuff. They know what they want. They're ready to pick up the phone and dial. So do something like call-only mobile ads. But yeah, you want click-to-call as well to deal with their mobile traffic. And you can tell if you're getting a lot of mobile traffic by popping into Google Analytics, if you have it. If you don't, chat with me later. And then just searching for mobile once you get into Google Analytics, and it'll tell you what proportion of your traffic is coming from mobile. If it's super duper low, chances are you're not mobile responsive and you need to change that. Yeah? Yeah, Google has a particular product on their AdWords platform called call-only mobile ads. Doesn't even go to your website. They just see the ad, and then they click the button, and then they're on the phone with your front desk people. That's a win. Yeah, you had something as well. Just stretching. All right, do we need a little seventh inning stretch? We all good? As I say, the 9 a.m. hour, you got to get people fired up. Awesome. So that's one big conversion rate issue there. The other piece is calls to action. Calls to action are a fancy marketing buzzword that means ask the people that are on your website to do something. You could sort of kind of guess what this person wants people to do on their website. I'm not sure that's the best idea, but on every single one of your pages, if your About page is about you and where you went to chiropractic school and so on and so forth, that's great. But what's at the bottom of it? You're the man. That's what I want to see on every single one of your pages. Your About page is probably one of your highest trafficked pages on your website. So if you're not looking at it as a marketing tool and just looking at it as a biography, look at it as both.
See that?
But it's every single one of your pages. It's not just your contact page. It should be so darn easy for people to contact you on your website, you can hardly stand it. Every blog post, every page. There's no, tell me a page that you don't want people to pick up and call you from. There is no such one. So why don't you have that on every single one of your website pages? Real simple. Those couple tactics right there can make a gigantic difference in your conversion rate. Because people who just read something and say, oh, that's nice, and then something else comes into their life, and then they do something else, and then they forget about it. Mea culpa time. I usually have like 30 tabs open on my browser at any given moment, and then life happens. You feel my pain.
I'm just curious about calling because that's also, how do you say, staff requires staff. So I was wondering, do you really want them to call or do you really just want them to book? So is there statistics of like, oh, age range between this and this, they're going to likely to more to call, or I mean,
Sure.
You know, things like that. So
Sure.
I'm just saying, do you really want them to call? Do you just want them to book?
Well,
Has anyone else noticed that when people call, they tend to follow through more than when they just schedule online, or is that just me?
yeah. I've just found in my experience and working in this industry that you get higher buy-in, people actually follow through with what they say they were going to do, and then you don't get no call, no shows. And really, truly, you end up generating more people to come in for care if they pick up the phone and call. If you have a buyer persona that's absolutely super savvy and super willing to just book, outstanding. That's a win. And maybe you should think about a buyer persona that's willing to do that. And then offer them the appropriate offer, right? So if you have, as you say, the 70-year-old that there's no way that they are ever going to fill out your web form, and they're always going to call, make sure that content that's associated with that buyer persona has the give me a call. But if you have a group of people that you have a college in your town and those folks are willing to book and they're going to not show up because they're college students, not because they didn't fill out the web form properly, great. You can certainly have that as your call to action to just book straight away too. Any other thoughts or feelings on that? Yeah, I'll totally bring that out to the group.
Before we had staff, we just had a really well-scripted voicemail, and people left voicemails like all day, every day, and we just called them back on our breaks. And so as long as you're like responsive within that day, for us it wasn't a problem. We just use voicemail.
Outstanding. All right, enough of this. This is starting to pain me. Offers. We talked about the calls to action that should be on your website. Use what I call is the Mafia Offer. And what's the Mafia Offer? One you can't refuse. So what the world's the offer on your website? What the world's the offer on your social media posts? That one will work. So many times it's give us a call and book an appointment. That's great for people that are ready to do that. Give us a call, we'll book a consultation. That's great for people that are willing to do that. But what about the people who aren't quite sure? What about the people that require a little bit of nurturing to get to that point, where you might need to send them a couple emails before they're willing to get there? Or you might need to have a front desk phone conversation with those folks before they're willing to come in and actually see the doctor, right? What are those offers? What's really enticing for people that are on those individual pages? I can't quite exactly answer that question for you, but people like free stuff. Free stuff is always a win. And if you're getting somebody in for annual agreements into the immersion and then into the Beyond Wellness tracks of your care program, hey, an Amazon gift card isn't that hard to pull off. A gift card to the local health food store, pick your poison. Something that you think that that audience would pick up the phone and say, hey, why not? I'm not quite sure, but I'm willing to spend some time and effort to figure it out because I know I'm getting compensated for my time. I don't know about you, but I like to get compensated for my time just the same. So give them offers they can't refuse. That makes sense? Anybody thinking, like, shoot, I need to give somebody an offer they can't refuse and I'm not doing it right now? Yeah. Goals. Here's a local Atlanta thing. You guys don't have a hockey team anymore, I'm sorry. But you do have a soccer team. Goals. I could tell you how to double your practice in 1 year. Interested? That's a bit of a marketing trick, but hey. You need to increase the number of people getting care by 26%. You need to increase how much that they give you for your care, for their care by 26%. And then you need to increase the frequency by which people come into your practice by 26%. And there you go. I like to think of it in that way because that's a heck of a lot more manageable chunks than saying, boy, I have 300 people coming in every week. How the world can I get to 600 people? But if you break it up into those 3 individual chunks, it's a lot more manageable of a process. Now, of course, if you excel at one of those particular pieces, you can adjust those percentages to figure out how to double. But, yeah.
Sorry, can you say that one more time? It was increase the number of people by
What about the other 22%?
So it's 26% new customer, new people coming in for care, 26% increase in order size, and 26% in frequency. When you combine all those 3, they triple up on each other, and then combine to be about double. Because that all builds upon each other. That's where the other 20-odd some % comes in. Awesome. But whatever your goals are, you could take a couple different approaches to it. You could take a do-it-yourself approach. And Dr. Danny said he learned the hard way. I think I've learned the hard way. I think most people end up having to learn the hard way. But hey. You can take the DIY approach. You can build your team. You can outsource and use different packages and so on and so forth. Chances are you're going to end up using a combination of all of the aforesaid. It's probably the best approach. So I want to talk about at least one way that you can outsource some of these things, which is working with Lifetime Wellness Practice, with a couple of our programs. And for being here, I'm going to offer a really steep discount that offers a lot of value to you and your practice, which you're welcome to take us up on, or you're welcome to burn yourself out too. It's all good. It's all good.
Make it seem like it's such a viable option.
Right? So the local Chiro SEO program, I'm going to give you 4 months of our better package of that, which we charge $11.95 for. We just created a new revamped local Chiro SEO 2.0, what do you know, program. We're going to hand out some handouts about that here in a minute. We found that while we were taking care of the citations and directories pieces, so that's your Google Maps listing, your Yelp, et cetera, making sure all that is accurate, and that's a big part of your local SEO ranking factors. That's a real super tedious job. Again, you can certainly do it in-house. It just takes some time and effort. It's not rocket science, but it just takes a lot of time and effort to get all that stuff accurate. So you can do that. But then we also found that the technical parts of your website weren't being addressed because they're technical and they sound like Greek to normal humans, like mobile speed optimization, using schema. Schema essentially is just a little bit of extra code that you add to your website so Google knows what the words mean. So when Google sees your address, it just sees a string of characters, but it doesn't know that it's your address. And it's able to find your address other places and say, oh boy, that's super duper relevant because of the string of characters, but they don't really know what it means. Schema tells Google what that means. So it'll tell Google, oh, I have a review on my site, and that's a review. I have 5 stars. Did you ever look up a recipe online and then you see that it gets 5 stars or 4 stars without having to click on it? Yeah, same deal. Speaking of reviews, real quick little SEO tip. The difference between Chiropractor Atlanta, Georgia and Best Chiropractor Atlanta, Georgia is whether one has reviews of 4 stars or greater or not. So even if you search for Chiropractor, your town name, and the first result has no reviews, and you're result number 4, 5, 6, whatever, but you have a review, and you've got greater than 4 stars, when someone types in Best Chiropractor plus your town name, they're going to see you. So make sure that there is some human being in your practice that's doing well, that's willing to go and put that review there. You don't need 10 million of them. to show up for best chiropractor in your town. You just need one. So if you don't have one, get that figured out. And if you've got less than 4 stars, get more than 4 stars. Trying to provide a little bit of value during my pitchy pitch. And then your chiropractic site program as well. That's valued at $13.99. We're going to combine those two and give that to you for $19.97. But wait, there's more. I've got a couple outstanding bonuses that I wanted to talk to you about too, which is our full SEO audit. I think a lot of people take this shoot, aim, fire approach. And I'd rather figure out what's going wrong and what's going right first. So we're going to do an SEO audit for you and then have a one-on-one phone conversation about that SEO audit so that you know what's going well and what's not going so well. We talked about sponsorships a little bit earlier. You are involved in your communities. This might sound a little bit harsh, but I don't give money to any event or organization, charitable cause, unless they're willing to give me a link back. I was giving an organization $1,500 every year, and they refused to give me a link. And I'm thinking, geez, if someone gave me $1,500, I would give them 10 links, fine. But they didn't want to give me a link on their website, and I thought if my money wasn't good enough for a link, I could find 5 other organizations that would take $300 and be happy enough to give me a link back to my website to generate referral traffic and to let Google know that it matters my location. You might rank for chiropractor, the specific town that you're in. But if you're in small town USA, chances are the people coming in from care are from several other communities adjacent to you, and you don't show up anywhere in search engines for that. So you want to give Google as many indications as humanly possible that you operate in those other communities as well. So if you sponsor an event in the adjacent town, and their website talks about that address and talks about the community that that event's in, and then it links back to your website, Google is so darn smart. They're starting to realize that, hey, this practice operates in this community just the same as they do as the one that they might physically be located in. So you can use these sponsorships strategically to let Google know that you work and bring in people for care in a larger geographic range than just your specific town name. Nice. Let's do that one. That's an easy win. Same thing with the talks that you give. Put it on an events page on your site. Put it on your blog. Make sure whoever's hosting that event, if you're going to your local Kiwanis or Lions Club or whatever, or a business that's in a neighboring community, make it abundantly clear to people and search engines where that is, and you're going to help give clues to search engines about these other towns that you work in and bring in patients in as well. We are starting, and thanks to a Lifetime Wellness Practice member, I believe, who said, hey, there used to be a couple places online where we found network guys and where we found tonal guys and gals. But that went away, that link went away. And so we're going to start a new directory online specifically focused and promoting tonal chiropractors, tonalchiropractors.com. And we're going to charge $5.99 for a lifetime premium listing on that, which means anytime someone is on that directory, searches for the town that you operate in, you will automatically be the #1 listing no matter what, forever and ever, amen. What's that? Yeah, we'll have to twist some arms and fight over some stuff out in Boulder. Yeah.
So to me, the word tonal chiropractors doesn't mean anything outside of those of us that studied.
Absolutely.
So how is that going to be?
Well, it's just focused in on that group of people and that audience. And where the SEO optimization comes in and where people are going to see it is more in the long tail traffic side. So all these individual directory listings, just like that happens on Yelp and so on and so forth. And just bonus points for the additional signal back to Google Maps and some of those real big picture directories that get a ton of traffic that, hey, here's this up-to-date listing. It's absolutely accurate, and so on and so forth. Yeah, cool. And then last but not least, I talked about AdWords spend. You got to pitch in 25 bucks for this, but I will certainly give you a promotion code to spend 25, get $100 on AdWords if you've never done any AdWords before. It's a free $100. Worst case scenario, you show up front and center on the advertising space in AdWords for chiropractor plus your town name for at least a few weeks, and then I will do all the AdWords setup for that, creating those campaigns that target those individual keywords, and then create that remarketing campaign that I talked about before as well. Charge $600 for any AdWords setup that I do. So all in, we're at $41.90 for the low price of $19.97. Ultimately, however, I want us all to have success in this room and to help more patients. I hope that you've gotten something strategically and tactically to help grow online. I'm absolutely willing to answer any questions that you might have either now or afterwards when we have a 5-minute break. And if you enjoyed the talk as well, I'd love to hear you speak about your experience in front of these handsome young cameramen as well after the talk. Yes?
So you went through all that in your special in 1997, but what's your ongoing monthly for you to?
Yeah, so we're going to hand out these flyers for the local Chiro SEO program and the Lifetime Wellness program probably soon to now. And you could take a look at what's all in those programs and the different levels. Depending upon the market you're in, if you're in a bigger picture metro market, you're probably going to want some of the higher dollar ones versus a smaller community. You can get away with something a little bit lower depending upon your competition that you have in your area. Thanks, everybody. Are we going to take we're at 9:57. Got 3 minutes to spare, so take a bit of a stretch break before we get back to Dr. Danny.
I want to give you guys all a few minutes to take a stretch break and also ask Ben questions. Because I know people like to ask individual questions about web and SEO, so maybe go hang out back there and do
That's
that.
great.
Yeah, that way I can set that up. Thank you, Ben Donow.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.